Let's go out to Dallas and talk to Marie. Dear Marie. What's up, Dallas? I'm sorry. What's up, Marie? Not Dallas.
You're good. I was hoping to get a conversation template from you for me and my mom.
Excellent. What's going on?
Okay, so it's codependency and investment. So normally when you hear about these, you hear about it as like the kid living in the mom's basement. This is actually kind of the opposite. So when I was in my mid-20s, she started asking for a little bit of money. A couple of years later, she was down for a year for medical stuff. And during that year, I ended up paying half her bills. And then after that, progressively, it's just gotten worse. And the more that I enabled her, I thought, it'll just help her get, a break and then she'll get back up. She never got back up. And so it's actually made everything worse and worse. And now we're at this point where like she still has medical stuff going on, but she's also refusing to stand up and try and live her life anymore. And so I need a conversation where I can I don't want to go for a throat and be like, dude, this isn't okay, because that never helps anything. But at the same time, I need a way to tell her, hey, I get to have my own life. You can't just take over,
So, one, I appreciate your heart, man. Thanks for loving your mom. And I know it's gotten sideways and out of control, but that's a great impulse. Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
And also, thank you for loving future Marie enough to go, whoa, I'm about to dig a hole that I can't get out of. And you've done something that is really rare. Most of the time, I have to start this conversation by telling people to stop blaming, and that's not what you're doing. The way you framed this whole thing is, I kept doing and I kept doing and I kept doing, and I want to learn what I can do next. It's different. You're incredible. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
It's awesome. And any outcome is going to suck. Just know that going in.
I kind of figured.
There is no magic conversation where your mom's going to go, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm so sorry. And then she just gets up and goes and gets a job. So
yeah,
I want you to
figure there was no magic.
Yeah, put to bed that this ends with you and your mom like waltzing through a field of somewhere, right? And there's just snow coming down. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So what's the best case scenario for you?
I would love for her to go get counseling of her own. Mm-hmm. I would love for her to just pay a portion or all of her bills, and to stop giving me more and more. Because right now what it feels like is she's slowly handing me portions of her life and making me responsible for them, and then she hates her life. Okay, well, I can't do anything for that. You're your own person. You have to take control of your own life.
Except you're taking those things that she hands you.
Right. And that's where we have the issue. Because on one hand, I'm she's having medical issues and stuff like that. So I feel like I can't responsibly say I won't necessarily take it if you actually have a problem. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't want to take things that you don't actually need me to be taking,
Right. I think you're going to have to change your language a little bit, because her definition of what she needs and your definition of what she needs are going to be different. So I think you getting out of her head, you getting out of what you think she needs at a time is going to be important. And you are going to have to focus on, here's what I can provide. And here's what I'm willing to provide. And some of those, the can and will, those are messy. Those are messy, because you can have money in the bank and your mom's like, but you can just do it. And you're saying, yeah, but I'm not going to, because I've decided that I'm going to use that money in a different way. And that is a hard conversation. So does she have the ability to pay her bills, or is she choosing not to go to work? Does she have money in an account somewhere? What's this gap?
She doesn't have a whole lot of money in the account. She just quit her job. She was a truck driver. We were both truck drivers. She went down for a medical reason, and then this is the second time in 2 years she's gone down for medical. So she didn't want to come back to truck driving. So now she's job hunting. So
is she living with you?
Yes. And that's part of it is.
Well, when you say medical issues, give me a little more context.
Originally, several years ago, she went down for a blood clot in her leg, and that's when this whole process actually started and got really, I started paying more of her bills. 2 years ago, she actually started She was in Fort Worth, Texas. She had been doing a run. She was making $400 a week. I was making around $600 a week. And she started having issues with her bills. And when I told her, I'll give you a little bit more, but no more than this amount, but a month later, she was in the hospital for audible hallucinations. And then they got her sorted within a week when she went to the hospital. And then 2 years later, she had gotten cleared to come back out. Well, around 2 months ago, she went off the truck again because she was saying she was feeling weird and she was having a hard time focusing and all this. And so then she went back into the hospital and now she's leveling back out again. So, but it's interesting timing because it's like whenever I hold that boundary, I'm on Dave Ramsey's baby steps too. And so I told her I'm not going to be helping with, some of the money stuff. And so it's like almost as soon as I set a boundary, there's something serious. And I can't say it's not something serious because she does go into the hospital, but at the same time, the timing is really interesting.
Sure. Hospitalization isn't a benchmark for how serious or not serious something is. If you show up, they'll take you and they'll put you on an IV and they'll put you on meds. Is she getting needed medication when she's there and it levels her out and then she comes back out and doesn't take her meds?
Yes, she took the original meds for a little while and then she stopped taking them.
Okay.
But she was fine. So she stopped taking them after a couple of weeks. But then she was fine for a year and a half until I told her, hey, I'm doing this thing. And also in a year, I want to get off the truck and go to school.
Okay.
And that's when things blew up.
So there's a couple of ways you can do this. One is easier than the other. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm sure people will write in on YouTube comments or on the podcast comments with their thoughts of what you should be doing. You can read those at your peril. There may be some good stuff in there. Sometimes there's some good stuff. Sometimes there's just a bunch of harrowing, awful stuff. Okay. Step number one is I want you to focus on where you want to be in 3 to 5, 6 years. And I want you to reverse engineer that plan. That just means I want you to start 5 years from now. How old are you now?
32.
Okay, so 37-year-old Marie. Where is she working? Where does she live? How much money does she make? Okay? And then I want you to back that up with all the way to tomorrow. What do you need to do starting tomorrow to get there? So if you want to go to college and become a nurse, that's going to be a 4-year degree plus some training. You would need to go get registered for classes summer session 2, right? And so you're going to start doing things now that are going to get you there, whatever it happens to be that you want to do. So that's step one. Step two is be realistic with where you are right now. What are your finances? What's your debt situation? What is your living situation? And be very realistic about what you can afford and what you cannot afford.
Okay.
The third thing is then you begin to sit down with mom and say, here's what I will and cannot do. Now, a very difficult pickle you're in is evicting your mom. If you say, if you're going to continue to live here, you've got to pay rent and you've got to pick up the light bill. That's fair. That means you can't just sit at home and you're not getting back on the truck. That's fine. That means you've got to go get another job that's not going to be fun and pleasant, but you're participating in this household. The obvious answer is, or what? Are you going to evict your mom and put her on the street? Probably not.
Right.
The other option is you move. Or you say in 6 months, I'm getting a new apartment. I'm going to go to this particular school. I'm getting out of the truck and I'm going to this college. I've saved up enough money to not take on any student debt. And I'm going to go do this thing. But you come up with a plan where you vacate your home where you live now.
Okay. In that plan, then she would be left.
Then she's got 6 months.
I would feel bad for...
You're going to feel bad either way.
Okay.
And you've heard me say this, but at some point you're going to have to choose guilt over resentment because if this continues, you're going to hate your mom.
And we do not want to go there.
No. So you'd much rather feel guilty that your mom is mad at you than every time I go to my own home and my mother is there, she has completely abandoned any sort of life that she wants to live, and it's misery. And I hate it. You don't want to go there.
Okay.
And so, I mean, there's not a lot of good options. You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel weird. Either way you go.
Would this work better if I got like a family counselor or something like that to mediate?
Will she even go?
She's said she doesn't sound excited about it, but she's agreed to go if I really wanted to.
Here's the thing. It's your money. And so usually it's in reverse. A parent will call and say, hey, I'm paying for my kid's college. I'm really worried about them. They seem more anxious or they seem more depressed. And what I'll tell them is, you tell them as a benefit of receiving my money, you have to go see a counselor. It's your money. And so your mom can make a choice of either she doesn't get your help or she takes care of herself.
Okay.
And I think it's important to call out, this feels really weird, Mom, because I feel like I'm acting like your parent, and in some ways I am, and I want to switch the roles back. I need my mom, and I miss my mom. Do you see the difference there?
Yeah.
It's kind of it's not kind of, it's calling out the awkward. I'm a huge fan of calling out the awkward whenever there's an awkward conversation. I had one with my son the other night, and I just said, hey, this is going to be weird. And he's like, okay, Dad, here we go. But I just like to call it out that way. Not always the best strategy, but it's the one I usually use. So I think it's taking all those awkward, weird things and just putting them out. This conversation is going to be hard. This conversation is going to be weird. I am running into a math problem. I can't support us both and eventually get me out of the truck so that I can be healthy and financially secure over the long haul. No pun intended. It's not working. So I have to make some different choices. And I know that now my choices are going to affect you. So that means you are going to have to make some different choices, whether you want to or not. Here's our option. Here's your options. And that's where you already having your plan. I am going to go to nursing school. I am going to go to roofing school. I don't know what you want to do, HVAC or whatever you want to do. I am going to go do these things. And so I'm not asking Mom for your permission or what do you think? Or I'm not asking that. I'm telling you what I'm going to go do. And here's how that is going to affect you. And here's the choices you have. You can continue to pay rent, and that's going to allow you to stay here. You can go see a counselor with me because that's a part of me allowing you to stay here. Or I'm moving in 6 months to a 1-bedroom apartment in North Carolina because that's where I'm going to school. Whatever it is you want to do. But again, the template, as you asked for, is you figure out what your path is. Number 2, you figure out the mathematical realities of where you live, what it costs to be you, and what it's going to take to get you to this destination. And then 3, be very clear, not dogmatic, but be very clear with your mom. Here's the challenges. Here's the awkwardness. Here's the challenges. Here's your 2 paths or 3 paths that you get to choose. In any sort of, well, I'm just not, oh, you don't love your mom. Expect that to happen. That's going to be how she rolls. Because that's how she's rolled for the last several years. And I'm going to be compassionate and treat her with respect and dignity. She doesn't want to be where she is either. She doesn't want to be feeling more and more depressed and more helpless and more like she can't take care of herself and her own kid has to take care of her, which then feeds the shame cycle, which then feeds the cycle of I'm not doing anything, and this whole thing just gets worse and worse and worse. So it just takes the adult in the relationship, which is you right now, to say, I'm hitting the stop button on this. We're Control-Alt-Deleting this thing. So hopefully that helps. Let me know how those conversations go. And if she wants to call in, I'd love to talk to her too. Or if y'all both want to call in, that might be an interesting show. And however I can help you as you head off into this new direction. I just want to tell you again how proud of you I am. You're going into this with the right heart and the right spirit, that you are the only person you can change. You can't change Mom. You can't change Mom's thoughts. You can't change her actions. You can just change yours. And yours will affect hers. But you are looking in the mirror first. And I love it.